We take on Iowa Speedway for the Iowa Corn 400 Race 3 of the season, and most importantly, one of the tracks in the Final Four come the season's end. So big learning opportunities under the lights this weekend in Iowa. Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. You see Christopher Bell, your winner from last episode in the all-new Atlanta Super Speedway. Part-time drivers in the field this weekend, Justin Allgaier for our team, Junior Motorsports, and as well AJ Allmendinger for Colleague Racing. All of JRM actually running special Brandt schemes this weekend with different variants. Example, myself running Brandt with the lemon variant. Meanwhile, you'll see as well strawberry peach as well. So on as well Noah Gregson's car and Carson Hocevar's car. But we are coming off of two interesting races to kick off the season, to say the least. Daytona 500 happened and it went the way it did, and now we come to Iowa following a non-top 10 finish at Atlanta. So we have not had a top 10 finish yet to kick off the season. I'm not really concerned because it was two super speedway races. So and even if we don't get a top 10 today, I really wouldn't be that concerned. It's really about next episode. I think is going to be where the judging point is going to be for our season, and that's because we go to Bristol Motor Speedway, a track that we're always in the mix for winning races at, and we nearly won that race last season until Brad Keselowski got us late after Nick Sanchez got in our way as a lapped car. But overall, with the Brandt colors on the car, I was quite happy with the car overall, and you can see our lap times now, and actually our first lap was slower than any lap that we ran after that, as we were already on track, ready for qualifying here on this Brandt Cadillac. So a goal of a 23.397. We're going to try and get right down to that inside on both ends of the track. Open up that wheel on the exit of turn 2. One issue I've always battled here in Iowa is long run speed. The car just gets too loose and I can never find a proper balance on the setup. Can we figure it out tonight? It's going to be difficult, but nonetheless qualifying, it's going to be a 23.267, beating the goal time, but still only P18, so we'll start just in front of the middle part of the grid, and you can see on pole, how about Jesse Love stepping up for Richard Chodas Racing, and Chase Briscoe, Ekis Blaney, host of our top 5, Larson in P6, rounding out the top 10s, Brajah Caruth over Byron and Zilich, and you see the rest of the qualifying order. Zane Smith, Bell, last episode winner, a little bit down the order, Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs as well, all down the order, Austin Hill at the back of the grid. The Amazon Prime Series was in Iowa this weekend. It was Justin Allgaier, shocker, and the Brandt colors winning over Andres Perez. And you can see I've kind of forgotten to change some of the Xfinity car numbers in the actual alternate paint scheme, so that's something I've got to fix, so the car numbers don't necessarily line up correctly there. But nonetheless, let's go racing Sunday night.
Iowa Speedway, a brilliant in-between short track and intermediate track with some wild restarts mixed in. We're going to see plenty of position shuffling tonight, Brad.
Restarts are so important here, Mike. We will see some guys probably finish way worse than what they ran tonight.
Right, boys, thanks for the hard work all weekend. Of course, no top 10s yet this year, but I don't see why we can't change that tonight. Let's just stay on top of this changing racetrack.
Absolutely, let's stay on top of it tonight.
William Byron failed pre-race inspection. He'll start from the back of that Exalta Cadillac now as we're ready to go for this Iowa Corn 400. Jesse Love, his second full-time season. We expected RCR to step up this season. It looks like they might have done exactly that. The green flag is out. Jesse Love leads the field down into turn number 1. Who's going to come out on top from race 3? We've had, of course, 2 winners to kick off this season. Of course, with the Daytona 500 being Eric Jones. You see him right there on that number 34. He's had 2 top 10s as well to start the season. Great start. And then, of course, last episode, you're defending Cup champ Christopher Bell saying, hey, I'm going to make sure I'm in the playoffs nice and early. We're leaning on our teammate right there of Noah Gregson. How about Bubba Wallace up here in that 28 for Andretti Global as we'll dive down into turn number 1. Early to the lead, Christian Eckes. So Jesse Love immediately falls off a little bit here. 41 laps of racing in stage 1. We cannot make it to the end of any of these stages on field tonight. So we are going to have to make a pit stop in every stage, guaranteed. But now Carson Hocevar to the lead. You're going to see a lot of shuffling around here in this race. So Iowa as well is almost a tricky one as well to kind of get an idea of where everybody stacks up, because positions will shuffle a lot with the different lines being run. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out here as we go to the inside of that 34. Joey Logano running in 13th position, but Hocevar running away early on. Chastain going to move through into 2nd place, but yeah, these positions are not going to stay the same for very long, I don't really think, tonight, as you can see migrating up to the outside. And now here's Kyle Busch, and how about Ryan Preece, short track ringer, who's moved his way forward as I go 3 wide up the inside of that Tootsie's 99. Kyle Busch won here last season. Now we're 4 wide in the middle, struggling, pushing up the track there, got really tight. My teammate of Gregson slips through on the inside. He is certainly getting aggressive early on as we go down into turn number 1. So JRM right now, the full-time cars run 1st, 16th, and 17th, and then Justin Allgaier a bit further back, but Gregson was continuing to claw his way forward as I'm to the inside of the 48 of Caruth, who's been going the wrong direction. He's been running the top lane the whole time, so not surprising to see him going in the wrong direction here, because if you run the top, you're just not going anywhere, especially in 3 and 4, but we get the 22 and the 20, and up to P14 we go on this 9th lap of the stage now, as we continue to just try and grind our way forward. There's Tyler Reddick. He was actually going backwards as well. So we got up to P13 after passing him. And now looking for another spot, this time on the 98 of Chase Briscoe. We'll clear him on the exit of 2. So up to P12. Can we get Gregson as well? It's a lot easier when they run the outside. Jesse Love down to P10. There you see him just in front of us, crash behind. Haley goes around in the number 60. Caution is out. And immediately we're going to see some split strategy. It looks like early on, everybody pretty well is going to pit, and everybody would end up pitting except for 2 single drivers. The most notable is going to be the number 5 of Kyle Larson. For whatever reason, Kyle Larson is elected to stay on the racetrack, Sammy Smith as well. They cannot make it to the end of this first and opening stage, so we can. Not by much. Everybody else that just pitted can make it by like a lap or 2, because we've got 26 laps to fill. We've got 25 laps to go, so I see why they tried staying out now, as I'm going to get aggressive on this restart, go 3 wide to the outside. We know there's going to be some drivers holding up everybody. Larson's going to be off the pace. The 27 of Sammy Smith is going to be exceptionally off the pace here. 3 wide to the outside as we continue to try and go forward there. Busher trying to end that long winless drought here tonight from Iowa, but I'm going to stay to the outside, and we have entered the top 10 for the first time tonight here from Iowa as we dive down into turn number 1, continuing to go in the right direction. Larson now up into the outside, not what I want to see. We want to be in a different lane, of course, from that number 5 of Kyle Larson, so we'll dive down to the inside here as we roll through turns 3 and 4 and opening the door for the 51, but we'll get alongside Larson. Can't quite clear him there, so we have to, of course, leave that room for him on the outside as we go back down into turn number 1. We'll get in line behind the 51 of Priest, who's doing great here early on, moving his way forward up into P6 now, seeing a lot of diverse running order here with Jesse Love now back to the front after starting on pole. A couple of RFK machines up here in the top 8 with Busher, as well as Christian Eckes. Eckes finished runner-up last episode in Atlanta, was running up front in Daytona early on until he had that tire failure, ended up getting collected in the big one, and that took him, of course, out of the race, but he's backing it up with that result in Atlanta and a strong running spot early on here from Iowa now, as we are in a tight battle with the 17 of Chris Busher and that Fastenal Ford Mustang. We end up clearing him for P6. Here comes Eric Jones and that 34. Watch out for him as he continues to be strong as well, but you can see this battle far from over with the 17 who would get back to my inside. He repasses me, and what I'm concerned about is that longer run. I know that I've always struggled in Iowa on the long runs, so it's just going to continue to get looser, and I'm going to basically fall off a cliff. And I was trying my best to not let that happen, trying to back it down a little bit, but it just really wasn't working. I was starting to struggle, and here comes the 20 of Christopher Bell, who's clearly faster than me. 10 laps to go on the stage. I'm not going to make life miserable on him, especially in stage number 1. So Bell is going to get to my inside, and there's some quick cars coming up behind me. Ryan Blaney, Rajah Caruth, 2 two very quick cars now. Kyle Larson exiting the pits. He had to pit under green, and so did Sammy Smith. That's going to put both of them 2 laps down, which is essentially going to ruin Kyle Larson's race, and he is currently outside the top 35 in points entering today after a very rough start to the season in Daytona and Atlanta, and Larson is going to be trapped 2 laps down. That's going to be nearly impossible to work his way back onto the lead lap. He is going to have another probably high 30s finish, and that's going to put him still in a terrible position following the first 3 races of the season. Now, speaking of Larson, here he comes to my inside on fresh tires. Of course, I'm not going to make life hard on him, but look at in the mirror. Here comes that overstock Hendrick Cadillac of Rajan Caruth to the inside. That 48 is fast. We know Caruth is closing in on career win number 1 is actually get into the outside wall there into turn number 1, making a mistake, and that's going to make it easy for the 34 of Jones as we drop down to P11, scraping the wall on the exit of turn 2, and as we came to the final lap, we continue to struggle for grip, but Jesse Love, unfortunately for Kyle Larson, he is lapping a bunch of cars, so that's going to make life even more difficult for Kyle Larson as we continue on, just trying to hold on to P11 at least now as we exit turn 2. Jesse Love wins stage number 1. How about that for RCR as we are going to come through out of turn 4 just barely in front of the 6 Fastenal Ford Mustang at the line. P11 will take it, but obviously we went the wrong way as that run went on. Chase Elliott in P13, he's trying to claw his way forward, but yeah, not happy with how that car was running there at the end of the stage. William Byron starting at the back has rebounded up to the top 15. Everybody's going to pit here, including the likes of Larson and Sammy Smith, so they are really in a bad position. But nonetheless, we'll pit for 4 tires, and I would end up making some changes here. Actually, we're going to add some grill tape eventually if this change here of taking away grill tape doesn't work, but we're going to take away some, take 4 tires, make some tire pressure adjustments. We're getting a spot in the pits. We're up to P10. So obviously some work to be done as it will get ready to go back racing now. Green flag is out. Stage 2 is underway. Christopher Bell just in front of us now. Another win last episode for the defending Cup Series champion now as we go 3 wide around the outside again. We're getting aggressive on these restarts, just trying to make anything we can happen here. And there we go. Now slicing across the nose of the 4 of hosts of our JRM teammate there, trying to get in line on the inside and, you know, be able to move our way forward as we'll be right there on that left rear of Ryan Priest. So one thing that we know for sure here is the adjustments I made. The car is going to be tighter on the short run than it was already, and it was already pretty tight, but the goal is, although it's going to be tighter, we're hoping that it'll take longer to free up on the long run, therefore to make it more bearable and more overall competitive. But we're going to suffer early on every set of fresh tires that we put on, and Hocevar goes through. Here comes Eric Jones again to the inside, the 3 wide in the background between Elliott, Priest, as well as Christopher Bell as I go all the way to the top here, rolling through the center of the corner, but we're going to get into the outside wall as we exit turn 2. A mistake that takes us out of the top 10, and Bell and Priest had to lift there as they were in a bit of a sandwich between myself and now Reddick goes through. Shane Van Gisbergen as well moves through into P10 as we would get passed by the 45 who would pass the 97. We'll get to the back of the 97 and actually wash up again into the left rear of the 97. SVG saves it. What a save. Not the first time we've run into Shane Van Gisbergen, probably not the last throughout our career, but that was all on me again. I was underestimating how tight the car was on the exit of 4, and I just washed up into him and nearly completely turned him around, but obviously I cost him many positions as Chris Buescher's to the front of this pack here in Iowa. But yeah, that was all on me. Apologies to the AI, Shane Van Gisbergen. Not exactly what I wanted to do there to, of course, one of my favorite drivers as we exit turn 2, passing Hocevar, but we got to focus forward. You know, what happened. Let's just focus on trying to go forward. We're into the top 10. Rajan Caruth now to the lead in the 48. What a drive from him. He might be the fastest driver here, but he's going to go in a back and forth with the 17, who retakes the lead here in Iowa as we try to set our sights on the 45 of Tyler Reddick now. As we hit lap 14, so 26 laps to go in stage at number 2. A lot of racing still remains throughout the night as we're just over half a second behind that 45. Monster Energy Beast Camry cautions out is for the 51. Ryan Priest blowing an engine. He was having a great run, and that's going to bring everybody to the pits, and we're going to make some more changes now, going all the way from 20% grill tape to 65. Looks like some cars are going to stay out again as just about everybody is going to come into the pit lane. I believe Nick Sanchez, who won stage 2 last episode, he stays out, and I believe he's the only one. Sanchez would stay out on the racetrack, and this is a call just like the Larson call and the Sammy Smith call in stage 1, where this doesn't really make sense because we can make it to the end of the stage. There's 22 laps to go. We got 26 laps to fill. It's not even close. So I'm very surprised to see Sanchez stay out, and that's going to be the second Andretti Global car that's made that mistake tonight. You would have thought they would have learned from stage 1. Clearly they haven't, and Sanchez is going to be off the pace, and to the lead goes Chris Buescher. We're 3 wide with Reddick on the exit of 4. Eric Jones on the far outside. Front row Motorsports, they have stepped up massively. We knew they were going to step up after downgrading to 1 car full-time. Chastain with the moment with Koop there, as now I'm 3 wide in the middle. You got the 6 on the outside, 45 on the inside. Eckes gets clear. Elliott's now in a 3 wide sandwich now with Toyota on his left, a Ford on his right, the Cadillac in the middle, as it's a whole lot of Cadillacs right around here together as we're outside the top 10. Buescher leads with 20 laps to go in stage number 2. We'll glide up to the outside wall, try to make some ground up right here as we exit turn 2. Just not quite working the way I was hoping it would, but we do get alongside the 9 of Chase Elliott as we dive down into turn number 3. Here comes Hocevar making a move 3 wide up the inside, saying, hey, I want in on this, but he didn't quite make it work, as Sanchez is going to continue to hold up that inside line, and that's going to allow me to get back into the top 10, passing the 45, passing Sanchez himself, who has had a great start to the season, but obviously this strategy call without a caution within the next 10 laps is going to be a disaster for that 26 now. But we run P9, but the question is, can we maintain? The answer is probably not, as we chase our car all the way up to the outside wall. Hocevar gets past me. We drop down to 10th, but new leader again. That 33 of Jesse Love continues to find his way to the front, and suddenly, if I'm the rest of the field, I'm a bit concerned that that 33 might have what it takes to win this race. Now, as Ryan Blaney takes the lead, leading his first laps for 2311 Racing. They have invested a lot into Ryan Blaney to bring him over from Penske. This could be a huge season for 2311 and Ryan Blaney specifically. Now, as you can see, my temperature light coming on. We have actually got too much grill tape on the car, so that is not ideal there. We're going to have to take this a little bit off. It wasn't hurting me too much, but it certainly wasn't helping a lot. So we are going to have to take some grill tape off of this car as now the 34 of Jones runs P10, coming to the final 10 laps of stage number 2. And you can see Koop goes to the far inside. Problems, big hit into the outside wall. The 3 of Austin Hill head on. That's the second time in 3 races he's had a big impact into the outside wall. Caution is out. Nick Sanchez, I'm not sure if he had pitted or not yet, but nonetheless, we are going to pit and split strategy. No, Sanchez, he stayed on the lead lap. That worked out for him. But you're going to see very split strategy. The top 13 stay out. But if we pitted now, we can stay out hopefully here at the end of the stage. But as we get back underway, we realize there's still 7 laps of racing to go in stage 2, so we still might have to pit again, because 7 laps is a lot of laps at this track for tire wear. But we're going to get after it right off the bat now, as I do believe that this is going to be the best option for getting stage points here is pitting, because we're just going to have such an advantage over the cars that just stayed out, including Jesse Love. Jesse Love stayed on the racetrack. We're 4 wide in the middle. Omendinger, Haley, Koop as well. Here comes Connor Zilic through in the Trackhouse 00. Zilic has been running top 10 all night long. We haven't really talked about him because we haven't seen him. He's been far ahead of me, but Zilic, a great race here going for him in Iowa. But Rajan Koop continuing to march his way forward. Byron as well. I'm far to the outside of the 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang of Joey Logano. We'll get around the outside, take the positions, but we're not really going anywhere. We're still P13 with 5 laps to go in stage 2. Love continues to lead, and we kind of got stuck here. It was really hard to actually go forward. Suddenly he is actually the 24 checks up on the back of the 12, and he's going to slide into turn 3, as I had nothing I could do there as he saves it after we hit him in the bumper. And that, yeah, I couldn't really do anything about that one. I can't apologize for that. I mean, he checked up right on my nose, but fortunately he only loses 1 spot as we go to the inside of the 00 of Connor Zilic. A wild race here so far in Iowa, leaning on the door of that 00. Bubba Wallace just behind it myself now, and actually hitting the apron there into turn 3. Just not the way I need this car to be driving right now. Final lap underway in stage 2. We're battling with our teammate of Hocevar, but surprisingly, we might not get any stage points. But hold on, I say that, but something happened to Zillage and to back out of it, actually use up the 34 right there of Eric Jones, and it's Jesse Love leading through 3 and 4, and after that wild stage 2, Jesse Love's gonna come through to sweep the first 2 stages. RCR's Love on top. We're gonna get a stage points finally. The first time this season we have picked up any stage points. P9, Eric Jones in P10, but just overall, not sure how I feel about this car right now. We're going to, of course, pit again and take fuel and tires. You see Briscoe, Carruth, Elliott, Busher, the top 5. Kyle Busch, Zane Smith, Shane Van Gisbergen, all up there in the top 8 with myself and Jones just behind. And we're actually going to loosen up the car a little bit, just not happy with how tight it is. And we're in a really awkward spot where it's too tight on the short run, too loose on the long run. So it feels like, you know, there's a portion, as Elliott loses 4 spots on the pits, but there's a short period of time of like 4 or 5 laps in the middle of a run where the car is actually pretty good. But all the laps before it sucks, and all the laps after it also sucks. So the fact that we're even in the conversation to finish in the top 10 is quite wild to me, because yeah, I've just not been happy with this car. But stage 3 is underway, and Rajah Carruth takes an early lead. I think Rajah has the fastest car here, but I don't know how this race is going to play out. I think that 33 is the second quickest car, but he has really benefited on that 48 so far, just not playing his cards to perfection, as we have 53 laps to go. A lot of racing, of course, here still remains from Iowa. Honestly, a top 10 would be a great night if we can pull that off. And obviously, though, we know that I expect to be winning the championship this season. I will settle for nothing less than a championship at this point in Season 5 of our career mode, even with a brand new team again here with Junior Motorsports. But we know this track is in the Final 4, so we're learning as much as we possibly can. Tonight is actually used up the 98 there. I kind of give him a shot to the bumper saying, hey, I'm coming through there. That was intentional. I just kind of wanted to get on with it now, and a bit frustrated, of course. I am driving. It's not been a great race for myself. It's not been, you know, the worst race I've ever had, but yeah, it's certainly not been the best. And you can see Kyle Busch there just in front, but now here comes the 20 again of Christopher Bell, gonna get through on the inside, and as soon as I get past once, we're stuck on the outside. Here comes a lot of cars that want to make some overtakes on me, so we're forced to the outside, and through goes Chastain. Here comes Christian Eckes. Kyle Busch still on my inside as well. Behind us, you got the 98 of Briscoe. You got the 34 of Jones. Ryan Blaney trying to claw his way back forward. We know the 23 has got some speed here. Ryan Blaney, of course, at home as well. Expect him to be very strong as we dive down into turn number 1, and just waiting for the right opportunities to get down to the inside. And now we're actually 4 wide briefly in the middle. Busch actually backs out of it, being smart, as very much the wise driver of the Cup Series now, as there's a caution for the 11 of Corey Heim, who blows the tire, and this is going to make strategy interesting. We got 47 laps to go. Look at Kyle Larson in 38th place. It's a disaster for that number 5. The highest car 2 laps down, but unfortunately other cars are going a lap down, so he can't really do a whole lot. Everybody stays out, surprisingly. I expected to see someone pit, but no, everybody is going to remain on the racetrack. So Jesse Love is back out in front over the 48 of Carruth. Busher is up there in the mix. We know Blaney's got some speed. He actually had a slow restart behind us. A big stack up there as we have 44 to go, running P10 again. Let's get aggressive on this restart. Go to the outside, trying to go 4 wide around the outside of our former teammate of Christopher Bell. Up at a P8 as well, passing the 98 of Chase Briscoe. To the lead goes Chris Busher, but he jumps up to the top immediately. Love going through the middle. Chastain to the inside. Ross, the boss, going for the lead now. Just in front of us, you got Trackhouse's Shane Van Gisbergen running in P6. Connor Zilic weighs down the order. Expect to see him going forward as this final stage continues on now, as we'll get alongside that WeatherTech 97 Honda Civic for Trackhouse Racing. Can Shane Van Gisbergen get back to victory lane this season? Now Jesse Love to the lead of this race. I said it already this season. I think we're going to see more than 16 winners. You're going to have to win to make the playoffs in this regular season, and I expected a guy like Jesse Love to step up. I didn't expect him to step up this much. He's leading this race. Is this going to be a fluke, or is this going to be something that's normal? That's the big question. We don't really know the answer to that yet, but nonetheless, he has stepped up after a horrific first rookie season for Richard Childress Racing, and now leads this race as we're right here in the mix for the top 5. Rajan Caruth in the 48. We know as well he's seeking that first win. There is several drivers up here who have never won a cup race. The new leader of the 48 of Caruth is one of them. Jesse Love, the next one. And now third place belongs to Christian Eckes. He's never won a cup race. His first season in a competitive cup ride as well. Just behind me, second season driver, of course, of Connor Zilic. We got 3 drivers in the top 6 right now that are just in their second season of Cup Series competition, and they are stepping up to the plate as we continue on through 1 and 2. Zilic going to go through on the inside, and as well, here comes that 23 of Ryan Blaney. Don't rule out that 23. He continues to show some speed. He is clearly the new face of 2311, even up against Tyler Reddick now and Corey Heim as we exit turn 4 behind them. And Blaney continues to go forward. He would pass Jones. He passes Zilic. He's up to 4th place. Here comes Christopher Mell. I think Christopher Mell has been quietly strong tonight here as he's going to pass me. But, you know, if we get a late race restart, it's just the restarts are so crazy here in Iowa. So you can be running great and then give it all up. But Caruth back to the lead over Love. They continue to swamp the lead back and forth. I'm starting to struggle as this run goes on. We are not far from green flag pit stops now, and actually to the pits. Caruth is going to pit a bit early. The 48's in. That's maybe too early. There's 28 laps to go. You get about 26 laps of fuel. I don't think Caruth can make it to the end with that call. I think Hendrick Motorsports and that 48 team specifically just made a big mistake. You can probably save 1 lap, but I don't think they can make it to the end. But we are going to pit as well right now because I am struggling so much. So we're going to come in a lap later. I'm confident we can save 1 lap of fuel, but I'm not confident we can save 2, and that's what Caruth is going to have to do. Has the 48 team just fumbled and maybe thrown away Caruth's first win and handed it to Jesse Love? That's the question. It's going to be a 15.4-second pit stop. 4 tires. We hope it stays green. We pit early. So there goes Caruth. He's going to be long ahead of me. There's Parker Retzlaff, of course, running towards the back. There's current leader Jesse Love. When is he going to come into the pits? Probably about to. He's going to pit right here, actually. He's getting down to the inside. Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's blown an engine in the number 5. No caution. We stay green, but a horrific start to the season for the number 5. Larson's going to be done for the night, and it didn't really affect him anyways because he was running 38th after being trapped 2 laps down, but Larson is really going to have to step up starting in Bristol, a track where he's had lots of success at in the past. Jesse Love has made his pit stop now. Where will he exit? That's the big question as we'll get alongside him, and there he is. He's going to be behind us, and this hands everything to the 48 of Rajan Caruth, but there's a huge curveball with the 48. We know he's a couple of laps short on field. I'm 1 lap short. I need to save a lap, but I'm confident with this being a shorter track, we will find 1 lap. But like I said, the 48's not going to find 2. Jesse Love is not going to win this race, I don't think, unless that 48 has to pit, which I don't see any way that doesn't happen. Love gets past me. We're now still 1 lap down because Corey Heim is leading. Of course, he brought out that last caution, pitted. He can run a little bit longer. He is hoping for a caution. That 11 wants to see a crash, but Jesse Love is going forwards as I am just watching him drive away, but we're still running P7. Not bad at all here under the lights in Iowa. Now Heim comes into the pits. This will put everybody else back on the lead lap. That worked out pretty well for us as we run P7 in front of Eric Jones, who is reeling me in with 16 to go. So Rajan Caruth will take over the lead of this race, but he cannot make it to the end of this race. But he has a comfortable lead over Jesse Love, but I just don't see how this is going to work out for him now as we're right on the back of the 94 of Parker Retzlaff. We'll look to the inside of him right here. Crash out of turn 2. Sammy Smith is going to bring out the caution late in this race, and he's going to come across the nose of Omendinger and the leader of the 48, and that is going to ruin everything for the 48. Rajan Caruth has to pit. Caruth is going to come in and he's going to take fuel. He's probably going to throw 4 tires on it, and he's going to be in the high 20s. And Connor Zilic will take the lead over Eckes and Love in 3rd. Everything has been put into the hands of the 33. If the 48 would have waited 1-2 more laps to pit, they would have been in a perfect scenario to win this race. Now they have to claw their way forward and gain more than 20 positions if they want to win. It's going to be now 11 laps to go as we'll get aggressive immediately. 3 wide into turn 1, catching Love off guard and catching Zilic off guard as well. 3 wide for the lead. What a move. Can we make it stink as we exit turn 2? 3 wide down this back straightaway. Can we make it stick into turn number 3? No, we can't. Just can't quite get this car to do what we needed to do. Zilic back to the lead of this race now. Christian Eckes into second. Blaney on our outside looking for third. Now 10 laps to go from Iowa. Will it stay green to the end? Now the 33 of Love just behind. He wants to be the driver that delivers Cadillac his first win. Leaning on the 6 of Eckes as we exit turn 2. Zilic trying to drive away, but he goes all the way to the outside, making life difficult for himself now as we are going to continue to try and hold off the 33. But now Love gets to my left rear as we exit turn 2 with less than 10 laps to go. Zilic is going to continue to run the outside. What are you doing, Connor? Now Christian next to the inside says, thank you very much, I want the inside, I want the lead of this race, but they got that 33 to hold off now, and here comes Christopher Bell, Atlanta winner, trying to pounce on the opportunity late in this race. 8 laps to go. Chase Elliott coming through as well. Watch out for that number 9 as we exit turn 2 on this far outside. Busher to my inside as we continue down into turn number 3, and Eckes goes to the top. Jesse Love, who continues to show up, takes the lead, and he's starting to run away as we are going backwards now, struggling in these closing laps. But now, how about Chase Elliott, who's going to go through to the inside of the 17? He'll take P2. Side by side they are for that second position, but he should get it here in turns 1 and 2. 5 laps to go, and Jesse Love's gone. Love's checking out. He's saying, hey, I'm going to go win this race now, as here comes Briscoe to my inside now with 3 laps to go. Not much outs I have left in the tank. I'm trying to hang on, and once they get to my inside, I'm just forced to try and jump up to the top and carry the momentum, which I can't quite carry it enough. And now we're down to P11 because Caruth would eventually go through as well, back into the top 10 with 2 laps to go. We dropped like a rock in these final 10 laps, but white flag is waving as they exit turn 4. Jesse Love is about to shock the NASCAR world. 1 lap to go for him. Previous Xfinity Series champion had a disastrous rookie season with Richard Childress Racing. That team was so far off. They made improvements, but we didn't think they made this much of an improvement now, as Love leads the way down the back straightaway into turn 3, and it's going to be maybe a surprise winner. Too early to tell, but nonetheless, Jesse Love is a NASCAR Cup Series winner. He wins in Iowa over Chase Elliott, Christian Eckes, Christopher Bell, and Connor Zilic. The top 5 will cross the line for a disappointing P11. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think we got pretty well everything we could have gotten out of it right there, so it's really hard for me to complain. Eric Jones, 3 consecutive top 10s to start the season after his Daytona 500 win. Blaney in the top 10, Caruth rebounds to P10. That's got to be just devastating for him. How about Brent Cruz in P17? Great day for him. And yeah, I mean, of course, the big name Kyle Larson just way down the order with the DNF there in 29th. A terrible, terrible start to the season for the number 5 team of Kyle Larson. They've got so much work to do, to say the least. But looking at the playoff grid, it's Jones, Love, Bell with the wins. We are P7 in the playoff grid right now. Bubba Wallace, the first one out by 2 points. Cruz, Blaney, Busher, Gregson out. Of course, it's going to take another, 3 races or 4 races to get an idea of where everybody really is. So it's really too early to really look too deep into this playoff grid. But nonetheless, next episode we take on Bristol. I expect our first top 10 and maybe a first win with Junior Motorsports. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.